A lot of people would say David Platt's arrogance was the biggest reason behind Nottingham Forest's downfall, and honestly, it's hard to argue with that. That chapter of his life left so many questioning his abilities, and maybe even more importantly, his willingness to own up to his mistakes. David Platt's time as manager of Nottingham Forest from 1999 to 2001 is a chapter that still sparks debate, and not in a good way. One of the biggest criticisms he faced was how he handled the club's finances. Platt was given significant backing in the transfer market, something a lot of managers at the time would have loved, but unfortunately it didn't pay off. He spent big, especially on some Italian players, but many of them simply didn't perform as expected. These moves ended up looking like poor decisions, with fans accusing him of wasting the club's money and leaving Forest in a tougher financial spot. To make matters worse, Platt's perceived arrogance didn't exactly help him win people over. His struggles as a manager at Forest only amplified the frustration, with some feeling he didn't fully own up to the team's poor performances. People expected better from him, not just because he was handed the resources to succeed, but also because of the stellar reputation he carried as a player. And let's be real, Platt was a fantastic player. He's still fondly remembered for his heroics with England, especially at the 1990 World Cup. That volley against Belgium in the dying moments of extra time, iconic. Plus, he proved himself in Italy's Serie A with successful stints at Bari, Juventus and Sampdoria. Those years gave him exposure to different styles of football, and many assumed he'd bring that broader perspective to his managerial career. That's part of why his tenure at Forest left such a bitter taste. It wasn't just disappointing, it was surprising. Fans and pundits alike began to question whether Platt had the tactical awareness needed to succeed as a manager. Could he truly inspire and get the best out of his squad? Despite having talented players at his disposal, Forest failed to achieve promotion back to the Premier League, which was the ultimate goal. In his 2 seasons in charge, the team finished 14th and 11th, nowhere near the kind of results fans were hoping for. For many, it felt like Platt's time at Forest was a case of unfulfilled promise, poor decision-making, and missed opportunities. His reputation as a player might still shine brightly, but his stint as Forest's manager remains a dark mark on his career. Now, despite all this, one cannot deny how good of a player he truly was. Platt's football story began when he signed for Manchester United as an apprentice in 1982, spotted playing for Chadderton. He had promise and even signed a professional contract under manager Ron Atkinson at the start of the 1984-85 season. But things didn't pan out the way he hoped. On February 23, 1985, he was let go without making a single first-team appearance. That could have been the end of the road for some players, but not Platt. He found a new opportunity with Crewe Alexandra in the 4th Division, thanks to Dario Gradi. At Crewe, Platt thrived. He quickly became a key player, showing off his ability as a strong goal-scoring midfielder. Over 3 years, he made 134 league appearances and scored 55 goals, a phenomenal record for a midfielder. His performances didn't go unnoticed, and in February 1988, he earned a move to Aston Villa for £200,000. It was a step up in every sense, and Platt grabbed the opportunity with both hands. At Villa, Platt's career skyrocketed. He helped them secure promotion to the 1st Division as runners-up in the 2nd Division in his first season. Over the next few years, he became one of the league's most exciting midfielders. His goal-scoring power and leadership on the pitch helped re-establish Villa as a force in the top flight. In the 1989-90 season, he was instrumental in Villa's title challenge, although they ultimately finished 2nd behind Liverpool. His efforts that season earned him the prestigious PFA Players Player of the Year award. By the time he left Villa in 1991, he had scored 50 league goals in 121 appearances, a remarkable return for a midfielder. Platt's performances also caught the eye of clubs overseas, and in the summer of 1991, he made the jump to Italy, signing for Bari in Serie A for £5.5 million. It was a big move for an English player at the time, but Platt adapted quickly, becoming captain and taking the number 10 shirt. He scored 11 goals in his first season, but despite his efforts, Bari were relegated. His time there was short-lived, but it laid the groundwork for what came next. In 1992, after a brief stint at Juventus, where he struggled for consistent game time, Platt joined Sampdoria, partly thanks to the persistence of Roberto Mancini, who personally pushed for the transfer. At Sampdoria, Platt found his rhythm again, helping them win the Coppa Italia in 1994 under Sven-Göran Eriksson. Over 2 years, he scored 17 goals in 55 league games, proving he still had plenty to offer at the highest level. By 1995, after 4 successful years in Italy, Platt returned to England, signing for Arsenal for £4.75 million. He joined under manager Bruce Rioch and later worked with Arsène Wenger, forming part of the midfield alongside Patrick Vieira. His time at Arsenal was solid, though not as spectacular as his earlier years. He played a supporting role in the team's success, contributing vital goals and experience. In his final season, 1997-98, Arsenal won the Premier League and FA Cup double, giving Platt a perfect ending to his playing career. Also, it seemed, Platt initially announced his retirement, intending to focus on coaching and preparing for a future in management. But in July 1999, he surprised many by returning to football as player-manager of Nottingham Forest. It was a bold decision and one that ultimately proved divisive. Platt's tenure at Forest was controversial from the start. He was heavily backed in the transfer market, spending big on several players, including a number of expensive Italian signings. Despite having a talented squad, Forest struggled to compete, finishing 14th in his first season and 11th in his second. Moreover, his unwillingness to take full responsibility for the team's struggles only fueled frustrations. After 2 seasons, Platt left Forest to take charge of the England U21 team. As we speak of his career, let's not forget that his performances on the international stage also made him a global sensation. It all started when Bobby Robson handed him his England debut in a friendly against Italy in November 1989. Soon after, he earned a spot in England's squad for the 1990 World Cup. This was where Platt would make his mark on the world stage. England was drawn into Group F alongside Ireland, the Netherlands, and Egypt. Platt began the tournament on the bench, coming on as a substitute against Ireland and the Netherlands. For the final group game against Egypt, he stayed on the sidelines as England advanced as group winners. The knockout stage brought England face-to-face with Belgium. The game against Belgium was intense and remained goalless through 90 minutes. Then, in the 120th minute of extra time, Platt delivered an iconic moment. Paul Gascoigne floated a free kick into the box, and Platt, with perfect timing and technique, volleyed the ball into the net. It was his first goal for England, and an unforgettable one. Reflecting on it later, he called it one of those rare, perfect moments. What happened after the game, however, was less glamorous. Platt was immediately taken for a random drug test. Dehydrated and exhausted, it took him 40 slow minutes to produce a sample. By the time he returned, his teammates had already moved on, and the moment of celebration had passed. With Brian Robson injured, Platt started the quarter-final against Cameroon. He opened the scoring with a header, thanks to Stuart Pearce's cross, but Cameroon fought back to lead 2-1. England clawed their way back to win 3-2 after extra time, setting up a semi-final clash with West Germany. The semi-final was another dramatic encounter. Platt had a headed goal disallowed in extra time, and the match ended 1-1. It went to penalties, and though Platt converted his spot kick, England lost the shootout. Platt added another goal in the third-place playoff against Italy, heading in a Tony Dorigo cross. England lost 2-1, but Platt's 3 goals in the tournament cemented his reputation as a big-game player. Platt became a central figure for England in the years that followed, earning the captain's armband for much of the early 1990s. His leadership on the field was quiet but effective, often leading by example with his tireless work ethic. In the Euro 1992 qualifiers, Platt's goal in a 1-1 draw against Ireland proved vital as England narrowly topped the group. He also showcased his scoring ability in friendly games, with standout performances against the USSR and Argentina during the 1991 England Challenge Cup. By the time Euro 1992 arrived, Platt was at the peak of his powers. However, the tournament itself was disappointing for England. In the opening game against Denmark, Platt missed a golden opportunity and the match ended 0-0. He came close to scoring against France, but was again denied as the game finished goalless. England's final group game against Sweden started well, with Platt volleying in a Gary Lineker cross to give England an early lead. But Sweden turned the game around in the second half, winning 2-1 and eliminating England. England's qualification campaign for the 1994 World Cup was a rollercoaster, and Platt was at the heart of it. He scored 7 goals in the qualifiers, including 4 in a single match against San Marino. His contributions were crucial, but the team struggled in key moments. A critical home game against the Netherlands saw Platt score to give England a 2-0 lead, but the Dutch fought back to draw 2-2. England's campaign faltered further with a 2-0 loss to Norway and a 1-1 draw in Poland. In a must-win game against the Netherlands in Rotterdam, Platt had a clear chance, but was fouled by Ronald Koeman. The referee controversially only gave a yellow card, and moments later, Koeman scored a decisive free kick. England missed out on qualification and manager Graham Taylor was sacked. Under new manager Terry Venables, Platt remained a key figure in England's setup. He scored in several friendlies leading up to Euro 1996, including a memorable goal against Brazil. By the time the tournament began, however, competition for places in midfield was fierce. Paul Ince and Paul Gascoigne became Venables' preferred pairing, and Platt found himself starting most games on the bench. Platt made a significant impact whenever called upon. He started in the quarter-final against Spain, with Ince suspended, and helped England win on penalties. In the semi-final against Germany, Platt played the full 120 minutes. He was instrumental in creating chances during extra time, including setting up Steve McManaman, whose cross led to Darren Anderton hitting the post. The match ended 1-1 and went to penalties. Once again, Platt calmly converted his spot kick, but England fell short as Gareth Southgate missed the decisive penalty. It was a bitter end to Platt's international career, but he retired as one of England's most reliable performers. In total, Platt earned 62 caps for England, scoring 27 goals, a remarkable tally for a midfielder. He remains one of the top scoring midfielders in England's history, surpassed only by Frank Lampard. Whether it was his World Cup heroics, his leadership as captain, or his ability to score from midfield, Platt's international career was defined by moments of brilliance that made him a fan favourite. However, Platt's managerial career proved that success isn't always guaranteed. After leaving Arsenal, he returned to Sampdoria as manager, but the stint didn't last long. Controversy over his lack of proper coaching qualifications for Serie A led to protests, and he resigned before the club was relegated to Serie B. In 1999, Platt took charge of Nottingham Forest, recently relegated from the Premier League. He even made a brief playing comeback, scoring in a match against Crystal Palace. However, his time at Forest was rocky. Big spending on underperforming players left the club in debt, and disagreements with senior players caused further issues. He found more success managing England's U21 team, leading them to the 2002 European Championships, but after failing to qualify in 2004, he stepped down. In 2010, he joined Manchester City as Roberto Mancini's first-team coach, a move met with scepticism from fans. He left in 2013 following Mancini's exit. Platt's journey didn't stop there. In 2015, he managed FC Pune City in India's Super League for a season. By 2018, he took on a consultant role with Palermo in Serie B after a City Football Group takeover. His post-playing career has certainly been eventful. That wraps up today's video. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe so you never miss an update. Thanks for watching.